You might think you've peeped the scene. You haven't. The real one's far too mean. The watered-down one, the one you know, was made up centuries ago. They made it sound all whack and corny. Yes, it's awful, blasted boring. Twisted fiction, sick addiction. Well, gather round, children, separate lesson.
Break it up! Break it up! Wake up! Stop what you're doing! Stop what you're doing! Yeah, stop what you're doing! Stop this!
What are you doing?
Stop what you're doing! Break it up! In the name of the law!
What's going on?
What you're doing is illegal. Sexual relations in between the races is illegal.
We're not doing that. We're freaking married. We're just sleeping.
Don't you see that? We're married. It is. It's against the Racial Integrity Act. You're under arrest.
What? That's
Come with
ridiculous.
me.
Oh,
And
no.
no,
We will fight this.
absolutely not.
Then
And
you
you'll
lose.
lose.
We didn't do
You'll
anything.
lose. He's going to jail.
In Loving v. Virginia, an interracial couple, Mildred Jeter, an African-American woman, and Richard Loving, a white man, traveled to Washington, D.C. to get married because in 1958, Virginia had a law that prohibited interracial marriages. The Lovings returned to Virginia after obtaining their marriage license. In October of 1958, police invaded their home, hoping to find them engaged in sexual intercourse, which was also illegal for people of different races. When Mildred Loving showed the police their marriage certificate, they were arrested for violating the Racial Integrity Act. The Racial Integrity Act had been enacted to protect the purity and supremacy of the white race and forbade even married interracial couples from living together. They were sentenced to a year in prison, but a judge commuted their sentence provided they leave Virginia and not return for 25 years. The Lovings moved to the District of Columbia.
After the Lovings moved to the District of Columbia, the American Civil Liberties Union filed a motion on their behalf on November 6, 1963, in the state trial court to dismiss the sentence because it violated the 14th Amendment. It caused a series of lawsuits that finally reached the Supreme Court. Once the motion still hadn't been decided, almost a year later, the couple filed a class action suit in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia. In January of 1965, the three-judge district court let the Lovings present their claims to the Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals. Virginia Supreme Court Justice Harry L. Carisho wrote an opinion for the court upholding the constitutionality of the anti-miscegenation statutes which banned interracial marriage and intimacy, and affirmed the criminal convictions. Carisho said that the Lovings case wasn't a violation of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause because both parties were equally punished for the crime of miscegenation, regardless of race, which was similar to the court ruling of Pace versus Alabama. The court ruled that the anti-miscegenation law violated the Due Process and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court overturned the convictions. The court ruled that the anti-miscegenation law violated the Due Process and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment.